Hey YouTube, from training to become a boxer to developing a passion to help mental health patients and becoming a psychologist himself, please help me welcome mental health mentor, counseling psychologist, and a therapist, Mr. Daewon Nongrem. Hey Daewon,
Hey Zaren,
how are you?
I'm doing good, buddy.
It's been a long time. I hope that you're doing well. Your Christmas was okay. Your New Year was okay. How are you holding up?
Yes. Yes, indeed, it was a long time since we saw each other, right? I think it was in university that we met last time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we did. It's been a
yeah.
crazy year, crazy months.
Yes, of course. For me, definitely it was. But all in all, I can say my end, my year ended pretty well. Uh, Christmas and New Year, it was nice. I especially loved
Mm-hmm,
New Year. I spent in church after 2 years, so late night service till early morning New Year. That was a good thing for me.
mm-hmm. I just have to ask this. What is your New Year resolution?
Okay, so this year I'm continuing what I started last year. So last year I told myself that uh, you are already 26. There are so many things that you have planned. There are so many things that you know it's a good idea, good concept. So last year I decided checking down things that I had, enlisted for my life. Like one of the things which I want to do in 2022 is bungee jumping. So that is one of the things that I want to cover. So I would say
Interesting.
I'm gonna, yes, I'm gonna cover up all the things that I have, how do I say, on my checklist of life. So which is
Mm-hmm,
one of the thing which excites me the most is uh, bungee jumping and paragliding. And also, which
mm-hmm.
reminds me, I recently did this interstate traveling by bike, which was one of the dream that I had. So I just decided, okay, I have the time, I have the mood, the energy, so let's go. So I went from Shillong to West Bengal, Siliguri, from Siliguri to Darjeeling, Darjeeling to Sikkim and back.
Oh
So yeah.
wow, that must have been an incredible journey day.
Oh yes, in both this and this way, my back was hurting a lot, but then I enjoyed like
Mm-hmm.
anything. My close friend was with me. She traveled with me when we were going that side, but while returning, she had to take the bus. It was too much for her.
Mm-hmm. I hope that you will be able to make your New Year resolution come through. The bungee diving, right? Um,
Yes.
Devon, I was doing a little bit
Yes,
of a
yes.
background check on you, and then I
Hmm.
found out that your ethnicity is mixed. You are a Nepali,
Yes.
a Naka, and Khasi. That is interesting. I would love to know that. Tell me, please.
Okay. So basically, I identify myself as Khasi, right? But then apart from that, when it comes to ethnicity, I personally feel that I'm part of so many cultures. By blood, I'm part of three cultures, right? Three ethnicity. My father is Nepali from Nepal. My mother is half Khasi, that is Meghalaya, and half Naga from Nagaland. My grandfather was Sangtam, my mother is Khasi, and my father is Nepali. So that is my ethnic background. And apart from that, you would not believe it because nobody really knows this thing, but I feel more of Indian, North Indian person than Northeastern because I spent almost all my life out there. Jammu Kashmir 12 years, Gujarat 4 years, and other places as well.
Wow. That is a long time that you want. So, how was life like in Jammu and Kashmir? 12 years.
Okay, so I can say that was a very important part of my life as I was growing up. I spent a lot of my, you know, I'm 27 till the age of 16, 17 I was there. So it was one hell of a journey, I can say. And hell, by that term, I mean, uh, I was getting bullied a lot, physically, verbally, which was taking its toll on my mental health as well, which I had no concept, no idea about, but then it did. But then Jammu Kashmir is the place where I have one of my closest friends and a lot of good memories. I learned boxing, I learned
Wow.
cricket, I learned swimming. I started traveling there, and also I made some really good lifelong friends, which I'm really happy to say that they are still in touch with me. So for now, I have like 3 to 4 friends I'm in touch with, and so all in all, I can say Jammu Kashmir is a very important part of my life. I've already been there after leaving Jammu Kashmir. I was in Siliguri for 10 years. So back in 2019, I went there to visit my friends and all the places where I grew up. It was wonderful experience. I'm telling you, to visit such a place after 10 years gap, and I'm planning to go again. Maybe if the situation permits, then I'm planning to go again this year, back in 2022.
Amazing. I'm glad to know and hear that you had an interesting life in Jammu and Kashmir. Um, it was not until recently that you came to know that your ethnicity was mixed. So, may I know, when did you come to know about it?
Uh, for me, as I told you that I grew up mostly in northern part of India, right? So back then I used to think my identity was Nepali because my father talked in Nepali, he spoke in Nepali, and I don't know if I should say unfortunate, but I didn't have any idea about Khasi ethnicity or Khasi culture or Naga culture. And back then it was a very big deal for me because I didn't know who am I. Because with this phase in North India, it was a difficult phase for me. But then 2017, I came to Shillong, and even then I used to come to Shillong for Christmas and New Year time to time. But then, since the place was so far, it was like, coming to Christmas every 2 3 years. It wasn't a regular thing, and so 2017 I learned about my Khasi ethnicity, and my target was to learn Khasi when I come here. That's why I chose Shillong for my further studies as I was doing my masters. But then I found out that my grandfather was Naga. That too from a profile picture, not profile picture. What am I saying? A
Passport
passport
photo.
size picture, right? Passport, yes. So it was then I realized that okay, so this is not just Khasi, this is not just Nepali. I have one more that is Naga, and I have no idea about my Nagaland side family or anything. The only thing that I knew about Nagas, which I was fascinated about, two things. Since I traveled everywhere in India, by the time I turned 18, I had the privilege to travel all the directions of India. So I knew people from every culture, every ethnicity, but then I had no idea about northeastern people. For me, northeast was one picture. We all look the same, we all are friendly, we all love to take this betel nut. Our mouths are always red, we are always smiling, welcoming, we love meat. That's all I had in my mind. And then when I met Nagas, one of my first friends, he was very friendly in a way that I've never met anyone. So that was one thing I was really fascinated about, and second thing, I loved Naga food. So I was like, for the love of food, I have to find my family. So that's how initially it started as a joke, and then I still remember from that passport size picture, I started inquiring my family, my grandmother, my grandmother's friends, old friends. And that's when I came to know that, okay, he was here, but then he died. And after that, almost for 45 to 48 years, there was no connection. And it took me almost 2 years to find out the family, which has
Mm-hmm.
been one of the most blessed moment of my life, I can say, or
Mm-hmm.
achievement.
Mm-hmm. when you found out and when you tracked your Naga bloodline, how did that make you feel?
Oh, I'm telling you, it made me feel so amazing. I mean, uh, I was already feeling very, you know, overwhelmed with the feeling that okay, I'm mixed. Okay, there are so many things that I have. I'm connected with my Nepal family. I'm connected with my Meghalaya Shillong family, right? And also when I came to know about Nagas, I was like, wow, this is so nice, right? It was one of those feeling which was overwhelming, and I really wanted to find out. So the only thing that was running on my mind was, okay, I like these people, I love the food, and now I need to really find them out. Like, where are they? It sound
Mm-hmm.
impossible at that moment, I know, but then for some reason I felt like I'm gonna do it. I have to do it. And there was a point when my grandmom said that I wish before I die I could see them. And that
Oh.
was the moment like, okay, I have to do it for her at least.
Mhm.
So I put my heart and soul into it for 2 years, 17 to 19, and did it.
Did it. Congratulations for that.
Yeah, thank you.
You are a mental health counselor, a psychologist, a therapist. So how long have you been doing this, being counseling and being a therapist?
Okay, officially on paper and as a not licensed, or what do you call it, certified counselor, I've been doing this since 2019. So 2018 to 19 I practiced as an intern, but from 19 I started doing it officially, which basically was a very big thing for me because I think it's a superhero kind of job when you actually try to save people's life, right? Someone wants, like for example, someone wants to die because they have depression or something, very negative thoughts, but then you come in a picture as a counselor, try to help them to live or to give hope. So from 2019 onwards, I'm doing that. But I was actually thinking about this topic, right? Like, why am I doing and why do I love this thing? And I found out, the reason and the answer that I found from within was that I have always been sort of a counselor sort of person, right? I remember one of my friend back in 2013, something happened with her relationship, something really big. It was a big mess, which included third person and also very complicated things, we can say that. And she self-harmed late at night. And I don't know why, but she called me around 1 or something, and I spoke to her till 6 a.m. in the morning. I still remember. I don't know what I was
Oh
talking
my
about,
gosh. Mm-hmm.
but I did speak to her till that time, and she thanked me for that, to get help her get through that night, that dark phase. And I think it made me feel good. So when I chose this line as a counselor, it was it was one of those feeling when you feel like it's your call. So
Yeah.
now I love doing what I do, and it's been an amazing journey so far, Zaren.
That situation of talking to your friend, could that have triggered you to wanting to be a mental health counselor?
Mm, not exactly, but I would say
Because
that was one of those things. You know?
because I know that you were also training to become a kickboxer. So having you develop a passion to become a mental health counselor.
Yeah. So talking to that friend that the other night, that has to be one of the fundamental things that built up that base for me to actually believe that yes, I can do it and this is what I want to do, right? But it has to do with uh, all the experiences all together, right?
Mhm.
Like we say that the dot connected. So all these incidents were dots for me, I would say, because the picture was very clear when the first lockdown happened, right? So before that, I was going through things as a person, even as a counselor, but I knew how to help myself. I knew how to get help. So I used to call my friends, and I have my counselor from Nagaland itself, so I call her whenever I can't handle things on my own. So all these incidents or experiences from my life, counting from bullying, then my father, I felt that emotionally we were not very close to each other. So whatever I did, a lot of things which also included boxing and kickboxing was to gain his validation. That I'm proud of you, son. This is good. Like, now I know his love language. He's not very verbal, but then back then as a teenager, I used to hate him a lot because he was never there, emotionally. And I think for boys, father figure is very important. We look up to them, right? And I mean, both are important, mom and dad, but then it comes naturally, right? But then he was not there with me emotionally. So I think all together, all these experiences somehow, made me who I am today. And when the first lockdown kicked in, it was one of a difficult time for me because I was stuck in a place. Um, I had lost my job. I actually quit because of some situation with the finance, right? And I couldn't go back to Shillong. I was at my friend's place. I'm very thankful for my friend and his family. They took care of me at least for 3 months. But after a while, I started feeling so desperate to go back home. I could not sleep at night, and you know, they have a dog, and I had to sleep with her on the floor. And after a while, you don't want to sleep on the floor, right?
Of
No matter
course,
how
of course.
thankful you are, no matter how thankful you are for food and everything. So yes, all in all, back in 2019, um, I started taking care of my own mental health, right? Like, I was already practicing it as professional, but then I wasn't really taking care of myself in terms of practicing what I preach. So that's when I started doing it, and I remember there was this thought while I was talking to my friend. I thought, let's just do it on social media. Let's just start posting. And surprisingly, I got really wonderful results. Like, people started texting me personally, thank you for saying this, thank you for uploading this. I needed to see this, I needed to hear that. And
Mhm.
that's when I decided not to upload my pictures anymore and do something for others.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah. And since then, it has been a wonderful journey.
Hmm.
I have gotten some clients from across the India, different part of the India, and some of my clients are as as how do I say, 12 years old, 13 years old. They have been texting me more than 1 year. Some of them are 30 plus, 40 plus, and it's been a blessed experience, I would say, as a mental health mentor.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I would say, in a
I'm
crisis
sure.
situation like 2019, when everything was crumbling up to lockdown, that's when I decided, and that's when I took this role as mental health mentor.
I'm sure it must have been an incredible journey. And you, being a mental health counselor, you will know that mental health is one of the biggest issues in the world right now. So,
Oh,
what do you
yes.
think is the biggest barrier to treating mental health patients?
Come again, what is the biggest barrier?
That is the biggest barrier in treating mental health patients.
Okay, so biggest barrier in treating mental health patients, right? Or the ones who are suffering with mental health illnesses. Okay, so the first thing, um, the ratio between what's the help available in India versus the number of illnesses in India, right? It's huge. The difference is huge, right? Right now, I read it a day before yesterday. A report was done back in 2020. India has almost 34 million people suffering with anxiety disorder, and almost like 94, if I'm not wrong, but it was a huge number, suffering with depression. But the number of the number of counselors or mental health professionals who are available for all these people, the ratio is like huge, right? So that is one. And second, the biggest barrier is the stereotype and the belief system people are holding when it comes to mental health or mental health diseases or mental health illness, because it's been practiced in our culture so commonly that if someone does a thing which they do not agree with, or they do not agree in the terms of social norms, they will call it, are you mad? Are you, in Hindi they would say pagal hai, right? If they do something out of the box also, ye pagal hai, he is crazy, right? So I've seen this thing in almost every culture. So we are normalizing using the word pagal, pakla, crazy so much that we don't even realize how important it is to actually realize that it could be one of those things to actually realize, okay, why this person is doing what he's doing, right? But when you really want to talk about it, or when really it is a problem, they don't want to talk about it. The stereotype comes in. Oh, you said anxiety, depression. That means this person is crazy. Directly the word comes up. Crack-minded or half-minded or whatnot. There are so many things, right? So many terms. And so this is one of the things, right? People don't want to open up. It's good to be, someone who is very, we can say, someone who holds the belief that an illness can also be treated by, prayers or religious beliefs or this local healers, because it does, right? It does. Scientifically, it has been proven. But then you have to be open to things which are available out there as well, right? But then people are not, and most of the time, I mean, no offense to anybody, but I've noticed this. This happened to me at least 4 to 5 times. A friend of mine or colleague, they would recommend someone that I think this person is going through depression or severe, mental health disorder, and they need mental health professional help, right? I am okay with that. I'm someone who is ready to help. I know how important it is. But then when I talk to the parents for consent, for all the other things, they do not believe in me. They ask me questions which is very clear, that comes from the angle of, you are so young. How can you?
Yeah.
It shows very clearly that they are not believing in me being so young. And also that they have this belief that they can go to a prayer center and heal a severe mental illness, which could be possible in some ways. I believe that. I have done research on that during my master's back in 2019. I did it in Nagaland, where we found out that religion and religious practices can also help you heal from traumatic experiences or PTSD as well. So if that can be helped, I'm sure other aspects of mental health, it can also be helped, right? But then people don't want to accept it. People don't want to talk about it. So that is there. And if you remember, Zaren, I told you, yeah, that is a barrier. And if you remember, I told you, if you have a story, share. Talk about how you survived. Talk about how you, reached till where you are right now, till the position that you hold right now. Because we never started from 100. We started from zero. There was a point where we felt like I'm zero. There is nothing in me, or there is nothing I can do, right? So I always tell that to other people also. Talk about how you struggled with your mental health crisis and how you came out of it. What sort of help that you had taken which helped you to become who you are right now. Because people don't talk about it. The more you talk about it, more
The
people
more,
you're going to inspire.
I just have to ask you this.
Right?
What is your treatment plan? How do you treat your patients?
This question is incomplete without asking a proper illness. There are so many things, right? There's so many things that comes under that can be added to this question. What's the treatment for anxiety? What's the treatment for fear, PTSD, depression? So if I have to actually clear things out in term generally, so I would say there are therapies available, right? I'm certified psychotherapist, I'm certified play therapist. I've done basics of hypnotherapy, which I don't practice, but I'm still learning. I'm very keen to learn, right? And there are other therapies that I've practiced. And on top of that, the way I structure my counseling sessions or treatment is I always talk to the other person in terms of questions like, what is it that you are seeking from this therapy or this session, right? Why did you come for, or what makes you come for this session? Because most of the time, this is what I believe in. They know that I can help them, or any therapist can help them. It's just that they are not really sure that they can believe themselves. And asking the right questions will always give you the right answers. And when they are actually clear with why they want to be here, then their how becomes very clear. They know, like, what am I supposed to do next if I want to reach somewhere. And I use a lot of motivational small speeches that I give time to time in between, whenever I see a gap, whenever I see them. It could be like 2-3 lines. So one of the things which I'm constantly using since 2019, 18, I would say, I give them hope, right? It's like planting a seed of hope from the very first session that they come in. So one of the things that I always tell them is that, there is no change or there is no new result without new actions, right? You can plan a lot of things. If you don't take any actions, there is no result. So you are here because you wanted some change, and you will go away from here with or without change. That's on you. I can show you the way, but I can't lead you to that way. So that's one of the things that I use. And there are therapies, there are techniques, that they can use when they're alone, when they are in crisis. And as a therapist, I'm always here.
I again have to ask you this again. When do you know that your treatment plan for seafood reading them is working? When do you know that? How do you know?
Okay, so we do something called goal setting, right? I do it on my own diary as well. And also, we do this goal setting thing together. Like, suppose I'm having this conversation with you as one of my client, right? So I'm going to ask you this thing. What makes you come to this session, right? And you will say, actually, I wanted to get rid of my anger, right? So that is very clear from the very beginning that you want to get rid of your anger. You want to manage your anger in a healthy way, or you want to control your anger. So that is one, right? And then when we ask about the history of your anger burst out, how often, or what are the triggers, right? And when we go through therapies, it doesn't happen in one day, it doesn't happen in 2 hours, 3 hours. It takes time, right? Patience, practice. So after a while, when you would come to me, I'm going to ask you the same question which I asked before about your triggers and everything. If you are not triggered easily as you were before, that means we both have successfully reached that point when I can say you are progressing in your way, right? So that is one of the things, to set milestones and compare like how far you have reached to your ultimate goal. And one thing is there about mental health and any sort of crisis is that you know all these things about mental health is not a destiny. Like it's more of a journey. You have to take one step at a time and realize that what it's trying to teach you. Because I am, to be honest, someone who was very angry, right? My mom says that because I'm mixed too much, Kasid Naga Nepali, that's why I had these anger issues. But then it could be anything. Maybe it's my, inborn nature. But then ever since I've taken psychology or counseling psychology, ever since I've learned about my triggers, ever since I've learned about how to calm my nerves down, I don't remember when was the last time I was angry. It's like
Mm-hmm.
that way now. So
Mm-hmm.
does that mean that I don't have anger anymore inside of me? No. But then I work on it. I know how to work on it. So it's a journey.
Mm-hmm. You're suppressing your
Yeah.
own emotions.
Not suppressing, but it's more like I know how to channel it in positive ways. Like I'll give you an example since you said suppressing, right? It's not suppressing, it's you can say displacement of anger in a positive manner, right? Or in a healthy way. Like right now, what I do, I use my anger in the gym, right? Mindful with I have to be mindful as well. I can't lift 100 kg straight just because I'm very angry, right? I
Yeah.
make sure to go extra rep. I make sure to go add few more, kgs to what I did the last time, and it helps, right? It fuels what I was doing physically, and at the end of the day, I'm feeling better about myself. I'm tired. I come home. I take my meals. I rest, and it's nice. So something
Mm-hmm.
positive outcome from that anger as well. So that's
Mm-hmm.
how I uh,
Channeling it into something
use it
good.
in a healthy way. Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay. How many
Yeah.
patients have you treated so far?
Um, I've never really counted, but then I can count since 2018. Uh, I can say more than 2 to 300. Yeah, more than two to three
That is
hundred.
a lot.
Like
That is a
one
lot.
on that. That is one on one. And apart from that, people who get inspired or people who get some sort of perception from my social media platform, uh, we can add up more like 3 to 400.
Mm-hmm. That is a lot of patients.
Um, Not most of them are my clients, but then some of them are just random people finding my post and they were like, yeah, I wanted to hear that. Thank you so much. And some
Mm-hmm.
people are like, I
Mm-hmm.
needed to hear that. Thank you so much for telling me that you're proud of me and all that. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that way I can say that I have touched people's life, right? So yeah,
Mm-hmm. As they
you're
are your
making me feel good about
patients.
myself.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so since you are the counselor and they are the patient, you must still be in touch with them. So what I want to ask
Oh
is, how
yes.
do you, as a counselor, as a therapist, how do you create that close relationship with your clients and your patients?
Okay, so there's one thing that I always have to keep in mind. The first things first, my personal no, my clients, right, with whom I do these sessions, I am not supposed to have personal relationships with them, right? Because when you go to a therapist, you share personal things, and after a while, it's natural that you tend to have some sort of bonding, right? From a guy's perspective, a female can be attracted towards me. From you know elder person, from adult person, a younger student or younger client can look up to me as a brother, right? So these things are possible and it happens, right? This is a real thing. So we have to make sure to make them very clear that this is a professional relationship, and apart from these sessions that we have with each other, this is nothing beyond. We definitely know each other. If we come across with each other, I'm going to talk to you, I'm going to talk to my client like I know this person, but nothing beyond that, which goes very personal, like come to my home, let's have dinner and this and that. No. So it's always like ethical boundaries that I have to follow.
And Daewon, I've been very curious about something about mental health. I've been seeing reports that there are mental disorders that arise from genetics, family genetics. So is that true, that people get mental disorders and mental illness from family history, family mental illness?
Yes, that is very much true. And to understand this concept, actually, the thing is that our mental health is very much directly related to our physical health. And when we say our physical body is related to it, sometimes we carry on information genetically through our forefathers or family members, right? Who in some circumstances, they must have developed something and they carry it on, right? To next generation. And you believe it or not, our body, it restores trauma, it restores pain, right? If you have been through something, you will know it in your body. That chilling sort of feeling that you get sometimes, the trauma always is in body. And sometimes this transfers to the next generation, because when we talk about our genes, the chromosomes, right? It contains information, right? It contains information. So all that information also includes some of the experiences that our forefather or our parents or grandparents they had. So there are times when you never really know. For example, if someone is, I read this when I was just beginning to study psychology. There are some of the cases where they are hydrophobic, they are scared of water like anything, but they have never been to an accident in a river or with a drowning situation, nothing like that. But when they go to counseling sessions, when they do history checkup, some digging on the history of the person and the family, they found out that their forefathers or grandfather had this experience and he drowned in that river.
Oh, wow.
Right? So it passes on through that. It could be, I believe there is another possibility of passing down this information. Maybe the children must have heard when he or she was very young, don't go in the water, your grandfather died and all that. So that fear somehow unconsciously planted in the mind, and it just developed as you grew old. And nobody knew what is happening, right? And so this is it. And I'm telling you, mind and body is like so, it's like the entire universe itself within us, right?
The cell remembers.
It's wonderful. Yeah, the body, the mind, it remembers. So that's how it is.
Just adding on that, do you think that education is important for the children, the grandchildren, or the children to know about the history of mental illness that their grandfathers or parents had experienced? Do you think that's important?
If I understand your question correctly, you let me know, okay, if I understand it correctly. So you're asking if it is important to educate your
children,
grandchildren, or the family about the mental health illnesses background your fathers or fathers they have.
Correct.
Okay. Well, it depends on person to person or family to family, right? In some families, it's very prominent that someone is going through a mental health crisis, right? But then they are with us living normally. It's a normal thing for them, so they know about it. But in some families, the situation could be either they don't know what is going on, because that happened with my own uncle. Nobody knew what was that. when I go by the records, by the books, it was more of a traumatic experience, and after that, schizophrenia, multiple personality disorder sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what my villagers or other people thought was a spirit possessed person. And all his, like half of his life was spent in a room, right? Half of his life. He was alive, he was healthy, he was eating. It's just that he used to talk to air, he used to talk to people nobody could see, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there was a cure for him, maybe there was a help, but then, so that is also one situation. But those people, they don't know about it as a mental health crisis or mental health issue. They say it's a demon possessed or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, if you are asking me this question, how important it is to educate our family members or children about the mental health history in family, it's very important to know all these things, because there are times when you and I, we may get through some crisis, and if we don't know about our own history, then it can be a little difficult to track it down. But if you know, then it becomes easier when it comes to going for therapy, so that the therapist can also expect, like, all right, this was in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Early prevention is the key.
Yes, that is also one of the things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mr. Daewon, having cured and having treated over 300 plus patients, if you like to reach out to him, I will attach his Instagram link, also his contact. On that note, we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
All right.